All right, welcome back to the Run.down post-game show here on the Strickland YouTube channel, Strickland Twitter, and if you're listening to this the day after Strickland Podcast Network, I am Sam. Knicks lose 120 to 111 on their homecoming night to the Detroit Pistons. A lot to get into in this game, but also not a lot at the same time. But before I get started, BetOnline continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball to NHL and UFC, head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use promo code BELIEVE. That's BLEAV for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, I guess you could kind of tell from the beginning of the game the vibes that this game would. You could tell from opening tip that, Cat was out, Campaign was out, and the way the Knicks came out to start the game, that this would be the result. We had our comebacks here and there, but yeah, it just didn't look like the Knicks were going to get things done tonight. The Pistons, they were on a 16-game losing streak to the Knicks. Haven't beat the Knicks since 2019, I believe, or whatever it may be. And that streak is over. The Knicks' short-lived win streak is over. Let's get into this game box score really quickly. For us, we had Brunson lead the way with 31 and 10. 11 of 21 from the field, 3 of 7 from 3. And he had to do a lot more than he's had to do for most of this year, I would say. And tonight it looked kind of harder for him to do some of these things. But a lot of what the Knicks were doing tonight looked hard for them. And you're thinking, were they just not up to the task from opening tip? Was it something the Pistons were doing? A lot of factors there, but I just think that everyone needed to be much better, and they just weren't. I think what kind of contributed to the Knicks' slow start, of course, is, the starting of one Jericho Sims. I won't put it all on him, but his, not his energy, I would say, but his play to start the game and his blunders were just very loud in an early part of the game where the Pistons, they were hitting everything. You had Tim Hardaway hitting shots, Cade Cunningham hitting shots, finding guys for shots. The Pistons were rolling in that first quarter. Jericho Sims didn't do much to help. Thankfully, we do have Precious Achiuwa and Ariel Hukporti, who both contributed greatly in this game and helped kind of shore things back to normal. But yeah, when you're missing a guy like Cat, his presence is desperately missed, of course, and the decrease in productivity, especially on the offensive side of the ball. I feel like they were trying to run so many actions that they similarly run with Cat. They were trying to do it with Jericho Sims tonight, and it just didn't work. There was a possession where he tried dribbling into the paint and it was a turnover, and I think that's when Thibs realized, all right, let me just get Hukporti or Precious out there, and he went with Hukporti. And yeah, Hukporti looked good. His first two possessions, I think the Knicks got open threes, especially Hukporti being able to find OG and on the short roll and open in the corner. So that just shows the difference in play between him and Sims. And I think next game that the Knicks play against a Toronto Raptors team that, again, like I said about this Pistons team, their record doesn't truly speak for how competitive they are, I would say. The Raptors today, of course, were playing against the Mavericks, and that game was competitive. And the Pistons, granted, we were missing Campaign and Cat they're still a much better team than they were in years prior. And you saw that tonight. I mean, the added spacing around Cade makes his life a little bit easier. You saw within the Pistons box score itself. I mean, he had a triple double, but then you had Beasley, who came off the bench, hit 7 threes. You had Ivy, who hit 2. Tim Hardaway's a spacing threat. Fontecchio's a spacing threat. Like, these are all pieces that he didn't. Even Tobias Harris is sort of a fake spacing threat as well. These are all pieces that the Pistons just did not have last year, and it made life harder for Cade and Ivy. And you're seeing this year with the added space how much better their team is. But yeah, the Knicks, they got off to a slow start, and when you get off to these slow starts, it's really hard to fight your way back. I think Clyde mentioned that in this game, like, it's harder. It expends much more of your players that they have to do so much more. I mean, Brunson tonight played 44 minutes. Like, that takes a toll. And then you got these cup games coming up. You were hoping that this Knicks team could like take care of business sort of in a way where they wouldn't have to play these guys so much minutes and expend them so much. But that's what happened tonight. But yeah, I mean, going from Brunson, I would say OG Anunoby was probably the second most impactful player tonight. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 steals, 2 blocks. Just another great defensive all-around performance from OG Anunoby, dominating, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Just was really good. Making a case for DPOY up there with Dyson Daniels. So that's going to be something to look at as the season wanes on. Josh Hart only played 38 minutes tonight or 39 minutes tonight, but that was due to him being ejected, of course, on a BS ejection in a string of game time where I was really baffled as to why Cade Cunningham didn't receive a technical while Josh Hart got a technical earlier in the game and then got a technical at that point in the game. Just very confusing for me. I'm not saying that dictated the game, but I think that did kind of ruin some of the momentum, at least, that the Knicks were trying to gain. The Knicks were getting a couple defensive stops, and Cade Cunningham got upset at a play, and I felt like it necessitated attack, and I feel like that would have helped continue to steer momentum on the Knicks side, but it is what it is at that point. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say the refs really dictated that win, but that part of the game kind of really sapped momentum in a part where the Knicks were really needing it. Mikal Bridges, 20 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals, a block. Much better intensity on the defensive side of the ball from him in this game, especially in that third to fourth quarter range where the Knicks were starting to make their run. That third quarter is really where you saw the Knicks and you were like, all right, they legitimately have a chance to win this game if they can like really lock in. And some things just didn't go their ways on both sides of the ball in that fourth quarter. But yeah, and it's good to see Mikal being able to still show that defensive intensity for those stretches. You're just hoping it becomes much more consistent. Last of the starters, Jericho Sims, only played 6 minutes tonight. And yeah, you know why. Off the bench, we had Huck Porty playing 15 minutes, 9 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Had some really nice alley-oop dunks in that second half of the game that were part of that run that kind of helped shift momentum on the Knicks side. And Huck Porty's he's shown some stuff, man. Like he did like a post move on, I think it was Duran in the third quarter, I want to say. So Huck Porty's got some stuff. He's not just like your typical run and dunk big man lobs only, but like he's able to do some stuff, put the ball on the floor a little bit, get some assist in that Hartenstein-esque way off the short roll. So you're hoping that Thibs will trust him at least a little bit more in the next game, so that way we don't have to start off the game rough with Sims minutes. But Yeah. McBride, 8 points, 2 rebounds, 2 assists. Would have loved to have a little bit more scoring punch from him. That would have really helped us tonight. But just didn't have it going, especially from 3, 1 of 5 from 3 only. But we've seen what Deuce can do when he gets really rolling, so won't worry too much about it. And Precious Achiuwa, 6 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block. Had that key block that led to Jalen Brunson finding him on that fast break dunk, getting in the and one, part of that third quarter run. So, Precious still showing us that he's showing us why we were so excited to get him back, and hoping that he can continue to ramp up his minutes and just do more for us. All right, let's get to some comments. I will keep this very short. But yeah, shout out to everyone that's in the comments. Make sure if you are watching, leave a like and subscribe. Chris Bernhardt says, I don't think this game needs much conversation. Everyone was bad and deserved to lose. Yeah, I mean that first quarter especially really set the tone in a bad way for the Knicks, and they kind of really never really recovered, honestly. So yeah, I mean you've seen in the past this year alone, you've seen what bad starts typically lead to for the Knicks. I mean, you look at the Mavericks game, you look at the Mavericks game, you look at the Hornets game. Like those two games were games that the Knicks came out slow in that first quarter and they just never really recovered. And it didn't help tonight to get off to a bad start when Karl-Anthony Towns has been one of our best players, if not our best player this year, especially on the offensive side of the ball, as well as Cameron Payne, who comes into the game as usually a run starter for us and would have been key in getting some runs started in this game as well. So, yeah, that kind of tells the story about this game. Barra says, yeah, they're going to flush this one. And yeah, I mean, the Knicks, they play again on Monday versus the Raptors. So that will be a very interesting game to see, as the Raptors, like I said, they're a team that their record doesn't really define who they are as a team in terms of their competitiveness. They play competitive almost every game. And yeah, let's see. Blue Magic says that Jericho starting the game gave the Pistons confidence. I won't disagree there. I think the Pistons probably saw no cat, especially, and were probably given just another boost of confidence. So that alone, whether it was Sims or not, was going to give them the confidence. But the fact that it was Sims probably gave them that much more of a confidence. Jordan Bub says games like this happen, but Thibs played multiple starters over 40 minutes in a loss and started Jericho Sims from the beginning. It was bad from the start and pseudo 9-man rotation. I mean, tonight it was more like if you don't count Kolik's charity 4 minutes and Sims's charity 6 minutes, it was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-man rotation tonight, basically. So but yeah, it was basically a 7-man rotation, and I feel like, I don't know, you gotta trust the players you gotta trust Kolek and someone else to just give you a little bit more minutes to just spell guys, because I think coming back all night, these guys were just exhausted. Like, that's an actual thing. Jordan Bub says you could have started Precious or Porty, who's a better offensive player than Sims have ever been, because Sims' excellent run of form has crashed down to earth. Yeah, Sims, it was a little too good to be true with Sims. We thought that his base level of play had elevated to what it was those last couple games, but these last couple games have been brutal and much more familiar in the line of what we know Sims to be. So Jordan Bub, also most games of 30 points and 10 assists for a Knicks player. Jalen Brunson 9, Frazier 9, Gurin 9. Gurin 7, Marbury 7. And Jordan Bub says, Knicks fans, it can be worse. Look at what happened to the Nuggets tonight. These games happen. If you believe that this Knicks team will be the same as the ones who will be here in April, then shrug. Yeah, I mean, I feel like the Nuggets are not. I mean, yeah, you look at the Nuggets in terms of like, look at what that team has become. Tonight they couldn't even survive Jokic-less minutes, minutes without Jokic, against the Washington Wizards, who beat them. Jokic had to put up a 55 piece, and it still wasn't enough. So there is that aspect of things when you're looking at, okay, things could be so much worse for the Knicks. So I get what you're saying there. And I think Knicks fans truly recognize that. I think Knicks fans aren't really going to take this loss too much of too heavily. I think, like, you know, there's things that you also got to take into account in terms of Cat and Payne not being here. So, you know, that factors into today's loss. And, you know, they'll probably bounce back on on Monday versus the Raptors. From Jordan Bub as well, JLE third. Thibs starts with pressuring the ball, protecting the rim, making sure your shell is tight, and finishing the play. Yeah, I mean, that first quarter and various parts of this game, not even just the first quarter, but like there were parts in this game where the Knicks lapsed back into what they were in the first quarter, despite them turning it around. And those lapses let, you know, like leaving guys open for three. There was multiple times where like Malik Beasley, Ivy open for three, and those were like dagger shots, especially in that fourth quarter where they like really opened up the lead back to like 15, 16 points. So Knicks got to just be consistent all the way through. And we know they can. We've seen it, especially against a way better defensive team like the Magic. But yeah. Omar Higazi says this loss was a pure team loss all around, top to bottom, especially on defense. It happens. We move. Yep. I mean, nothing to really take too hard out of this game. Jordan Bub, Jaley is third. Thibs on Hart's ejection. So he didn't get an explanation, but added Josh plays on emotion, which is great, but there's a fine line. Can't have that in the fourth quarter. I feel like Josh's second technical wasn't even like it wasn't even warranted. Like, he talked to the refs. He told them, like, you know, hey, Cade should get a tech. Y'all gave me a tech. They came out of the timeout, and, like, I don't know what was said for him to, like, be like, all right, get him out of here. It didn't look like much, if anything, but the refs control the game, so. But, again, I feel like that play kind of shifted momentum a little bit for the Knicks. Granted, they shouldn't have been in that position to begin with, but, yeah. Jordan Bub, OG Anunoby is the Knicks' fault to the Pistons, and I kind of went over this earlier. -9. Oh, I guess all the Knicks were a minus tonight, except for maybe. Let me see. Were there any Knicks that were positive? Bridges was a positive, and Achua, and Kolek. OG Anunoby was actually a neutral. He was a 0. This says on NBA.com at least. Biggest minus tonight was, of course, Sims, -9. So they kind of told you the story of tonight. But yeah, I don't know what else to talk about in this game. Kind of talked a lot about a lot of the similar issues that I see in this game in terms of minutes allocation and stuff like that. I spoke about that more in the last post game. In terms of this post game, I mean, there's nothing much really else to talk about. It's great to see Precious back. Played 27 minutes tonight, 28 minutes tonight. But yeah, I mean, he showed on the defensive side of the ball, why we're excited for him to be back, and offensively he adds things as well. But yeah, next game is against the Raptors. Raptors looking like they're much closer to full health, I think, now. Looking at who played for them today, it looks like, yeah, they're kind of basically fully healthy. Yeah, they are fully healthy at this point. So it's going to be very interesting. They are a team, like I said before, that their record is not indicative of how competitive they are. So that game could end up being closer than we like it to be. And especially on the road, who knows what version of Mikal Bridges we're going to get. Mikal Bridges has not been really as consistent at home as he is on the road. So that's something to look out for. Might want to bet his unders. Don't know. Might want to bet his unders. Want to bet RJ overs because RJ likes to play well at home. Scotty Barnes assists. Take his max if you want to. And yeah. I think I'm going to cut things off here as I don't really have much else to talk about with this team. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. I will be back, of course, after the game on Monday versus the Raptors. Shout out to everyone that tuned in. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe. Peace.